Numbers are startling. Between 30 and 40 million households at risk of being evicted. Mother of two, Patricia Mendoza, is one.
I felt like I was going to lose everything. I've never in my life got an eviction notice.
Patricia used to work as a medical van driver, but in April, her company went under due to COVID. Since then, she struggled to find a job and pay rent for their apartment outside San Diego. This fall, her landlord took the first step, serving her with an eviction notice so they could renovate her complex, a loophole in the evictions moratorium. Patricia says if it happens, she'll have nowhere to go.
What's your biggest fear right now?
Living out of my van. Having to tell my children that we have to move out and we're going to live out of a van.
Tenant advocates say our eviction system is broken, with women and people of color disproportionately impacted. While it's estimated the current federal moratorium has prevented over 1 million evictions, it expires at the end of March. And with only 16 states and Washington, D.C. offering extended protections, experts fear a tsunami of evictions is coming.
Landlords are filing new eviction cases at an increasingly aggressive pace. Housing court is considered a civil matter. So most tenants do not have representation, even if an eviction that they're facing is illegal or unjust.
In Ohio, Amanda Frank and her partner John say their landlord took them to court and got them evicted, even though they say they qualified for protection. Now, with an eviction on their credit reports, they say they can't get a new lease, forcing them to live in their SUV.
I clean houses for a living. I clean mansions, and it's so hard to go to these houses and think, I'm not going home. I'm not going home to a house.
Also struggling to survive, many mom and pop landlords. 76-year-old Leslie Hope rents out 6 apartments in LA to supplement her retirement income. Now, on top of her highest paying tenant not being able to pay rent, the city is ordering her to make expensive repairs to her building.
I'll probably have to go into my retirement. I've used up my emergency fund. I'm seeing people being forced into foreclosure. I mean, it doesn't look good for the small mom and pop owners.
People on both sides of this crisis facing an uncertain future with their livelihoods on the line.
There needs to be stronger protections for all of us. We're working class people, you know. We've always done whatever it takes to keep our families afloat.
And renter advocates say this is also a matter of public health because evictions put people at greater risk of contracting the coronavirus. They're less likely to recover and have led to unnecessary deaths in this pandemic. Dylan.
So, Joe, what can someone do if they're a tenant, they can't afford rent because of COVID, they're facing eviction? How can they protect themselves?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So many people are facing this issue right now. Experts say first, research your rights as a tenant in your state and in your county. Many local jurisdictions have stronger protections than the federal ones, and they make it harder for landlords to evict during this pandemic. Second, you can always reach out to a tenants' rights organization in your area. They can help you find free legal aid if your landlord decides to take you to housing court if it gets that far.
Useful information, Joe. Thank you so much.
The numbers are startling. Between 30 and...
All right, Shalom. All praises to the Most High Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who are the true teachers of Israel today, and have labored faithfully in His truth. Peace, love, blessings, and salutations to the house of David, Habayath Madawadah, the brothers laboring to make their calling of election sure, help and seal the elect for the return of our Lord Hamashiach Yahushai, and to the Akim and Akwathim, who also listen and believe on Hamashiach Yahushai. To you I say Shalom as well. This is Brother Sagalah coming back with another lesson, Lord willing. This lesson is edifying for those that have eyes to see and ears to hear through the Rakakwadash, which is the Holy Spirit. So we saw the video, start the lesson. I'm going to jump right into it. You know, this article is from NBCnews.com, dated February the 14th, 2021. Now, the title says, Mobile Home Dwellers hit even harder when facing eviction. Now, we saw the eviction of the first, woman and her family, which was the Northern Kingdom. And, that was from an apartment. And we saw another, we saw others going into, homes. And then we saw some of the tenants. Now, the premise of this lesson is really getting into this article here. I wanted to play the video just to show what's going on, because people thought when Joe Biden came into office that meant that the things that have already been in motion was going to somehow, some way just disappear. And that's not so, because there was a housing moratorium, and there was an extension that Joe Biden said, but yeah, it's covered 1 million people, but there's millions of more people out there who don't have those same protections. So this extension does not cover everyone that are renters, or who have a mortgage, and the people that are the hardest hit, which the purpose of this lesson is really going into how these curses are coming back onto Esau, Edom, hard and fast and furious, hard and heavy and fast and furious. They're coming back onto the Edomites very hard, because as it speaks about in this article, talks about the people that, dwell in these mobile homes. When you go into, the people that dwell in these mobile homes, it says 10% of the homes that's made in the U.S. are mobile homes. And of that 10%, Edomites make up about 70+% of those who dwell in these mobile homes, nationwide. Now, in some cities that those numbers are a little more, evened out, depending on if you're in a more urban or rural area. But by and large, the Edomites dwell in these mobile homes, and the protections are even less for people in these mobile homes. And we're going to read about that. So it says, Chris Larson was preparing lasagna for Christmas Eve dinner last year when someone knocked on the door of the mobile home he owns with his fiancee, Kristen Brokaw, and 3 kids in Superior, Wisconsin. An apologetic man dressed in jeans and a jacket stood at the door, handed him a stack of papers, and said he was being evicted. He said the family had to leave by January the 20th. Continuing on, it says, "We were using up all money we had to pay down our lot rent," Larson said. "We tried to keep up the best we could until then." So we see that this is affecting everybody, affecting Jakes, affecting all people. This pandemic, has caused, many people to fall into that eviction moratorium, which people got behind on their rent because their jobs were, were either completely taken away or halted for some time, for months, because of the whole pandemic situation. And then what happened from there? Well, those same people, many of them lost their jobs, and then they lost their homes, or they had to stay in their homes and get this moratorium put on there, thinking that this was going to be able to hold them over and that maybe they would get back in their jobs. And many of those people never got their jobs back. So you got another 30 to 40 million people who don't have jobs. And you couple that with another 50 million people who are going hungry, which this is a big boat of people. This is a large segment of the population. About 1/6 of the population is going hungry and they don't have a place to stay, or they're in danger of not having a place to stay real soon. And this extension to the moratorium, housing moratorium, is not going to exclude many of these people. It's going to actually include them. So this is showing you that, starting with, our people, but this is going to be going down to the Edomites. And this video ain't going to be too long. That they trust, they trust in Egypt, the scripture's saying. See if I can get that. They trust in Egypt, They trust in, they trust in the strength of Egypt. And that's going to be to their destruction, That's going to be to the destruction of a lot of our people. And these Edomites going to get it too, Matter of fact, yeah, let me start there real quick before I get into the article. This is, I want to get a quick precept. This is, Isaiah 36:6, it says, Lo, thou trusteth in the staff of this broken reed. That's why you had that woman, the Jake woman, the so-called Hispanic woman. She was speaking, saying, they need to change the laws to help people. The Edomite was crying. Everybody, was speaking about what needs to be done in order to have more protections. But the truth is, this is the will of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So this is the Lord's will. The Lord's will is that these terrible evils are going to come upon the earth, he said, in the last days. We're approaching the time of Jacob's trouble. Isaiah 36:6, Lo, thou trusteth in the staff of this broken reed. And these Edomites trusted it too. They try to act like Jake the only ones who's on Section 8, who receives EBT, who gets government benefits. And these Edomites get more government benefits than Jake do. So they trust in the staff of this broken reed too. On Egypt, it says, whereon if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to all that trust in him. So all of those that trust in Babylon the Great, New Egypt, all of those, they're going to be pierced. They're going to be pierced. I mean, they're going to be pricked because their trust is going to be compromised. Because there's nothing that's going to be done about the things that Yahweh Shem Yahushai is bringing. All of these plagues, this is one of the many plagues that's going to come to this place. People going hungry, people not having homes and housing. It's going to increase, drug rates, crime, murder. Murders in urban cities are up like 25 to 30%. Now, why is that important? It says, going back, we had to pay down all the money we had. We had to pay down our lot rent. We needed to keep up the best we could. Like hundreds of thousands of people nationwide, Larson and his soon-to-be wife fell behind on rent last year as the coronavirus ripped through the country. The family's financial troubles began when Brokaw suffered a stroke in March, leaving her unable to work. A couple of months later, Larson lost his job as a truck driver. By December, it says that these curses hitting Esau real hard. By December, the family had fallen 4 months behind on their rent and owed more than $4,700 in overdue lot payments. So this is going into these trailer homes where these Edomites stay. Taxes and late fees to the mobile home parks owners called Homecraft Home Mobile Home Park, according to court documents revived by NBC News. I'm going to lose my home over a few months of lot rent, Brokaw said. I feel like we're losing it all and all the hard work we did that got us to this point. Homecraft Mobile Home Park, which is listed on the website as one of 3 communities in Ohio, Wisconsin, declined to comment on the case. These homeowners don't have nothing to say. And they put these people out because they want to put other people in there, that can potentially pay that because they gotta go pay, for the rent as well. They have to pay taxes and etc. It says affordable housing advocates have celebrated the Biden administration's extension of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention moratorium on evictions as a critical move that could help people fight to stay in their homes as the pandemic continues to gut the economy. But the order includes loopholes that financially stretched landlords have been able to use to remove tenants who fall behind on rent. So there's plenty of loopholes, showing you how wicked this place is. There's always ways, to get around, something that is supposed to be set for protection. Housing advocates say one of the hardest hit groups have been mobile home park dwellers like Brokaw and Larson, who are already surviving with a limited safety net to fall back on. Before the pandemic, many mobile home residents like Brokaw and Larson had juggled paying for their mobile homes and for the lots they stay on. When they find themselves facing eviction, they risk losing not only the lot, but also their home equity. So that was what I wanted to get out of this. Let me get a little bit more. In many cases, the tenants had 30 days to leave the lot, but how do you expect someone to pay a tow company $5,000 to $10,000 to detach their home from the property and install it wherever else, said Stuart Campbell, a staff lawyer at Legal Aid of Northwest Texas, who has been working on a steady stream of mobile home evictions cases throughout the pandemic. Oftentimes, when they are evicted for lot rent, they're forfeiting the equity on the home. You could lose your home for $1. Now, I'm going to get this little piece here before I go into it. It says there are 8.5 million manufactured homes in the U.S., nearly 10% of the country's housing stock. According to the Manufactured Housing Institute, the median household income of a family living in a manufactured housing park is $30,000 a year, according to the Institute. So now, that puts people, that live near more rural areas just above the poverty line, and those who are in more urban areas at or below. And once again, predominantly Edomites, stay in these trailer parks, for the most part. Those numbers are rising for Jake as well, but still, by and large, Edomites stay in these trailer parks. So now we see these curses hit Esau's ass real hard. So Esau's ghetto is the trailer park, and Jake's is the hoods, the ghettos, for the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and reservations for the Native Americans. The slums and the ghettos for the Negroes and Latinos. So with Esau occupying 70+%, these curses are coming heavy on Esau, dealing with these trailer parks. Now they're starting to feel the heat because they trusted Egypt too. They try to put that on Jake as if they're the only ones that trusted the government. No, these damn Edomites trust very heavily in the government too. And you're going to see a lot of Edomites that, are going to be turned, away as well because Esau has his own people in slavery. Now let's get that. Deuteronomy 30:7. Let's get a few precepts and close this thing out. Deuteronomy 30:7, and it reads, and the Lord, Yahweh thy power, will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee. Deuteronomy 28 tells you who those nations are. Speaking of the nation of Edom, Psalm 83, Psalm 83 starting at 1 through about 6 or 7, it tells you all the nations conspired against the nation of Israel. So the Lord's going to put all these curses, starting with Esau, Edom, onto these nations, and they're going to suffer, of the curses as well. So Esau, Edom is suffering of the curses. He said, upon all them that persecuted thee and hated thee. So Esau being the chief of that. So he's getting a very heavy brunt of the curses that's being reversed, being put back on him. It tells you also that all of our adversaries, every one of them, are going to go into captivity. But the beginning of this is the curses coming back on him. Now Esau not knowing what to do with his family. Being in no man's land, being wanderers. We saw the one Edomite family was living in their car, etc. That's what's coming back upon these devils. Now it's going to go full-fledged as we get, into Jacob's trouble and civil unrest. Now, why is that important? Matthew 11:12, and it reads, and for the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven, which is, speaking of the nation of Israel, as we keep reading, the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence. And what's that violence? We've been, completely destroyed as a nation. Completely destroyed. Been through slavery after slavery. In this last slavery here in Babylon, we've been, the most destroyed. We lost our heritage, who we were, the knowledge of who our power was, the name of the Lord, the lack of understanding of the continuity between the tribes. Once again, our heritage. So we lost all sense of purpose in who we were. It says, until now, the kingdom of heaven suffered violence, and the violent take it by force. So these other nations, starting with the Edomites, have taken the nation of Israel by force and done whatever they wanted to do. So Esau, has had a field day on Jake, but now Israel, the kingdom of heaven, is rising up. So that violence that we suffered, now it's coming back on our enemies. Now they're looking for a place to stay. Now they're having problems as well, financially and with jobs. Also, their mortality rate. The mortality rate among Edomites are at record lows on And that's in comparison to all people on the planet. Theirs is of the lowest on the planet. So their ability to reproduce, etc., is a problem. And a lot of these Edomites see that. They see that, America's getting more black, so-called black and browner. And that's problematic for them, for the future of them and their families. They're seeing a lot of Jakes, getting better jobs, better houses, living in better neighborhoods, driving better cars, getting more education, being more educated, etc. That's a problem for them. It's harder for them to compete, in this world that, really amongst their people is the elites. The elite 1%, 3 to 5%. Other than that, the rest of the Edomites, man, they as worse off as Jake is, or worse in many cases. So all these curses we see are coming back upon the Edomites. Now, let's finish it off, but just go into another point. Because all these things are coming upon them, I'm going to end it with this. This is the book of Sirach 10 and 8. This is why, the kingdom of heaven is being given over to the nation of Israel. These curses are coming down more and more heavily. And these are all, once again, signs of the end times, signs of the end times. So it says, Sirach 10 and 8, or Ecclesiastes 10 and 8, and it reads, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches gotten, or riches got by deceit, that's lies, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. So it's because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches gotten by deceit. All the covenants was broken with the nation of Israel. Hundreds of covenants was broken. Riches gotten by deceit, that was, having free labor, 350 plus years, 400 years of free labor on the nation of Israel, them making no account of our labors. We haven't been given anything that has been, to repair our people after destroying them, killing them, genociding them, putting the Native Americans on plantations. And those plantations are the reservations today. Exiling them. The Trail of Tears. Buck breaking. The sterilization program. All of these things has been done to our people. There's been no recompense, no repayment for that. And it tells you once again in Numbers 35 and 33 that the land can't be cleansed of the blood that is shed, but by the blood of him that shed it. So all these things must come back unto Babylon. These are the curses. Let me get another one. Nahum 3 and 1. Woe to the bloody city, which is America. It is full of lies and robbery. The prey departeth not. We still are being caught in the hand of the wicked. We still are in the hand of the wicked. We have not departed. So destruction is coming to the bloody city, which is America, because it's full of lies and robbery. It's just a land of deceit, a land of wickedness, etc. So that's why the Lord is going to destroy this place. That's why these curses upon these Edomites, and these Edomites can't do a damn thing about it, because this is the will of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So with that, I hope that was edifying. Barakateh Yahweh, Barakateh Yahushai, Call Halal Yim La, Allah Hayanawa Yahweh, Ba Shem Yahushai, Ba Shem Wadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles. Peace, blessings, love, and salutations to the hopeful elect, Habayath Madawadah, to the brothers and sisters who also listen and believe on Mashiach Yahushai, the Akim and Akwafim. To you I say Shalom as well. Shalom.